Think water. Think crystal water. For energy and health, you need to drink water throughout the day. Crystal water is the most consistent and best tasting water in Belize, trusted to refresh you and your family. Think water. Think crystal water. With 11 stages of purification to offer you the peace of mind you deserve, crystal water is the taste you can trust.
So did you know that Sagicor has a plan that can help to protect your income against the life-threatening illnesses that we face today and help you to access medical care? Please don't hesitate. Call me at cell phone number 614-1834 for more information on what's available.
I had a really good time tonight.
So did I.
Life moves fast. Be prepared with Sagicor. Learn more at sagicorlife.com.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Matters. This morning we have quite an interesting set of guests. And guess what? Because of technology, they can all come in at the same time and we can all talk and have a healthy discussion. My guest this morning is Yasser Musa. He is the owner of the Image Factory, and Sahar Vasquez. Very close. She's very passionate about Mind Health Connect. Guys, good morning and welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Let's start with Yasser. Yasser, tell us, for the people that may not be so familiar with you, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do.
I guess you're starting with age before beauty, right? So first, thank you for the invitation, Rhonda. And I always watch your show. It's all over the place. I sometimes watch it on TV, then online. And so it's really a testament of your technological versatility, surviving in this kind of world. It's not easy, as you know. Well, I consider myself a teacher and an artist. Teacher by, I guess, salary. Artist by, I guess, DNA. And I've been working as both those things in terms of my professional life, if I can call it that. But it's what I do every day when I wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, which I've been doing for 3 decades. And I think because our discussion is focusing on how we are coping and the various mental challenges we all face, and some people obviously have far greater difficulty. And even if we were to think, for example, of first responding people, first frontline people that we call them, we can only imagine what they have to deal with on a daily basis with what is happening in terms of the world. So we have to be very sensitive in our projection about this. But I have been a teacher for almost 26 years. And I find that now in the classroom, even before this pandemic, one of the areas of great erasure or ignoring in the education system is what is going on with the mental health of our students. That is still, we're not even at the beginning to crack open the way we want to approach it as people in terms of meeting the very urgent needs of our students. And to me, one of the things that we are taught as teachers and we are told to constantly think about is being empathetic to the person that is in front of you, not just, oh, I have these things to do and they have to get it done, and then you are not even aware or conscious of what are their timelines or tasks and what they're going through. So I think even our attitude, I think that is the first place to start, attitude as teachers, for us to become more educated and more sensitized. I know, as a small example, when Sahar and her team launched Mind Health Connect at the Image Factory a few months ago. I don't know how long time is now, just an abstract.
Yeah, exactly.
And when they launched it, I sat there listening to Sahar's story and Martine and the others, and I felt how their story can educate very easily people like myself who we think we're educated, and we think, oh, because we read books and we're in school, and so we are educated towards these things. But just like in history, when we publish the stories of people who have been erased, in real time, we are erasing the stories of so many people. And I think the mental health story of Belize has to be told. And I am very happy to know Sahar from she was 0 and and see her journey in this struggle. And so I have two minds, so to speak. My own challenges with I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like a attention deficit or a heightened state of anxiety for so many thoughts going on at the same time. I guess they call that being an artist, but it is the same things I think I feel is what I think my students feel, but in different ways. So I think, anyway, I'm probably talking too much, Rhonda.
None at all. I mean,
No.
the same. I think not only I, but the people that are looking appreciate when you guys talk, because it generates thoughts in us that we probably would not have had if it wasn't provoked. Sahar, tell us a little bit about yourself for the people that do not know who you are.
Okay, well, my name is Sahar. I am a mental health advocate, and my best friend Martine King and I started a NGO called Mind Health Connect Belize. And our aim is to end the stigma against mental illness, because millions of people have mental illness, but they're ashamed or they're afraid to say that, hey, you know what, I have anxiety, I have depression, or whatever it is, because of what people might say. And I am one of those people that for years, I was ashamed to say that I'm anxious, or I have depression, or, I can't get out of bed in the morning, until I heard someone else's story, and that changed my life. And I realized that if I could share my story, maybe, just maybe, I could help one person, and that would just mean the world to me. So that's kind of what we're striving to do. And Mind Health Connect, I mean, we don't have an office. Our office is our website. And on our website, we have all the information you can find, where you can get help in every district. We're on Instagram, Facebook, we're always trying to post motivational things, especially during this difficult time. So I don't know if that sums me up properly. I've shared my story a lot. I feel like I may have shared it too much, to the point where I am getting annoyed hearing it, but others seem to like it. I don't know.
No, I think you're doing a good job with it. But I think that people are grateful for the story that you share, because it brings comfort to them. It brings a level of understanding to what they're going through. So let me stay with you for a little bit. Initially, when you were having these feelings, did you immediately identify them as anxiety or stress or depression? Or did you just think to yourself, I'm just not feeling so good today?
I kind of just thought I wasn't feeling well. Like, I thought I was physically sick. So like my poor parents were constantly taking me to the doctors, running tests. And, they're all like, there's nothing wrong with her. Everything is fine. But I'm like, no, there is something wrong. I have cancer. I have diabetes. I'm dying. You guys are not getting it. Anyways, after a while, we figured out that it was mental illness. And it also runs in my family. So it is hereditary. And I guess I'm the one that got it. I have a younger brother who seems to have not gotten it, because he's very calm and cool and collected. Unlike me, who I'm just very anxious and I don't know what's going to happen. I'm always nervous. But initially, I really didn't think that it was a mental illness. And when I found out, I was just like, I thought I was crazy. And I was extremely embarrassed to tell anyone. So, yeah.
Yes, sir. You, as a teacher, you come in contact with many people and different personalities, and some of them are just attention seekers. Well, some of them are sick. How do you handle that?
That is a great and a real question, because until recently, I would say 5 or less years, we started to hear things like you have to be more in tune as a teacher to what is termed as special needs. And if I use language wrong, I'm going to ask Sahar to correct me, because I know in other areas of my life, when I hear other people using language wrong, language words mean a lot and words have power. So we have to be very sensitive to the words we use. But anyway, I'll just be realistic and give you how I came to all of this, right? So you would hear, oh, we have to have special needs. This child is slow, or this child has attention deficit, or they start using words like autism and Asperger's. And then the list just keeps growing and growing. And then you are still constantly having to meet a human being and constantly having to face what in your mind is an ordinary, normal person, but you don't know what is going on inside. You don't know what is really the sometimes catastrophic thoughts that are just raging, and you are not sensitive enough to say, well, your homework, just because it was due one day late, is not that significant to what this child is going through. So you have to me, I always use the word empathy, right? And I think this moment, although we are living in a kind of a socially and economically catastrophic global moment, let us, I know it's impossible, to put that aside and still recognize that we have to wake up every day and have all these thoughts and all these heightened things and still go about our daily lives the best way we can. And think about how meaningless now that homework or that project or that test seems to us, how ridiculous that we had put a price, almost a bounty, on these students' head. No human being is as tested as young people, as our stupid and sick educational system tests them. Every day when I get this, when I get that. It's just this complete carousel of insanity. And so I think education system that can emerge where we treat people as human beings, that they have their thoughts, that they have knowledge inside of them that is independent of the book, the curriculum, the framing of how we want to teach and all that stuff. And if we can tap into that energy that they already bring, and I call it developing a creative ecosystem, which is a classroom, where I have practiced this for many years. When I go in there, I see 35 teachers and I am the one student. Like, I flip all these things. And that is why for 9 years, I've been able to use digital technology, web and YouTube and all that stuff. I mean, as an older person, I can't stand these things. They're so, this come up, then Apple come up, then Apple make the next one. And then, I mean, so crazy, right? But because my students are so comfortable, that is their orbit, let's look at it like an orbit around a solar system. I figure, okay, I want to get enough of their orbit and make them teach me. And I will just add what I know, the kind of old school stuff, the concepts and philosophies of history and all these things. And we will have a kind of negotiation. So if you're not able as a teacher to negotiate with who is in front of you as a human being first, then everything to me is just palabras. It's just, oh, I want to go in there and try to be sensitive because this and that. No. Sensitivity and all that stuff happens in real time, in real interaction, in projects you do together, feedback you give. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, and sometimes it's messy and there's a lot of failure. But as teachers, we are not taught, and students, we pass on this disease that, oh, failure is such a freaking dead end. And so then the child is just left there isolated. And I think in this isolation, that is where if you're already inclined or predisposed to have some mental illness or challenge, it grows. Because then the culture imposes, it's like a seedling, and it just makes it grow into this bigger tree of chaos. So I think we have to think about the culture of teaching.
You know, you have said quite a lot, because
I tend to do that, sorry.
No, it's acceptable.
No, that was amazing.
But I think that while you are enlightened, a lot of other teachers are not there. They bring all of, they too are suffering with their own mental health. And because of that, coupled with the fact that they're not exposed, they can't be of service to themselves and by extension the student. A few days ago we had an interview with the Minister of Education, and he was saying that I don't know if they're giving it already or if they will offer psychosocial training for the teachers. Do you know anything about that?
Okay, not to sound like I'm trying to be critical, right? But these psychosocial talking and things, again, it comes back to these words. Yes, I acknowledge and recognize that they are seeing the need for that. But it's like when I used to talk 10 years ago, we need to build a digital platform like a mothership so that the classroom is not the enterprise, the be all and end all of education. That education will happen when you go out and eat chips with your friend and have a discussion about the class war. That education will happen when you go home and read online or watch a video about something, so that the ecosystem is multi-layered and multifaceted. So when he says, and I'm not trying to pick on the minister on this one, but when he says we're going to do psychosocial stuff, okay, is it as a result of now the world having been turned upside down? Or was it that the policy, the philosophy of the Ministry of Education had already as its rootedness a psychosocial approach? Well, the answer to that is no, it did not. So to me, if you're going to use that terminology, you have to be fair and straight up with people, that it will take decades to unravel a system that is entrenched in oppressing young people. And it will take decades and people coming together to think it through and work it through and fail it through in order for us to figure out. The same way it took me in crazy times just make a 1 minute video 9 years ago. I mean, now I do it in 30 seconds. But the same way I had to fail in building that online platform, I know now that I can say safely that whenever you are going to come forward with a reform idea or a revolutionary idea, that is not how it's going to happen. It's not going to happen, oh, we're going to have a workshop with a Zoom like we're doing here with Sahara and Rhonda, and we're going to have another one here and there and everywhere like a Dr. Seuss book. It requires a rootedness, a philosophical reorientation that everybody, because let's face it, and I include myself here, I am a part of the oppressive education system. I have no hesitation in admitting to that. I know because I'm a part of a culture of oppression where we do not see young people as free-thinking people who have ideas. We have this idea that we're going to impose our ideas, our thoughts, our value system on them. Now, I'm not saying that we should just say, okay, go ahead, kids, and rally around the flag and do what you want in the classroom. No, that's hardly what I'm saying. I am saying that we have to provide the structures of pedagogy, but we have to liberate the young person to make them have this sense of self-determination, this sense that they will go into their community and participate and be active. I think that is where the rootedness is coming in. So yes, the psychosocial stuff is good to say and so, but we have to be prepared to say this. Oh, is that what you want to do? Well, let's plan it out now for the next 20 years, because that is not as easy as it seems. I don't know.
You know, you say these great things and then you kind of just stop abruptly, like, oh gosh, I just oversaid, you know, but now it's fine. Sahar, I would imagine that we can sit here and listen to Yasser all day, because
yes, I think I could. I mean, he's brilliant.
I don't feel that you are entertaining us. You are definitely educating and entertaining us at the same time. But Sahar, when you were, and I go back to your initial time, simply because there's a lot of people that are suffering, but they're not at the point where they can come out. I think coming out, that is the liberating time, and they're not at the day of liberation yet. So when you go amongst your friends at high school, for instance, and you are feeling these emotions, and maybe somebody would say, you know, Sahar, she just an attention getter. She just fussy, she just moody, she's just, you know, because she comes from who and who, she feel like she's better than the rest. Whatever it is that they may have said to you, What made you say, you know what, regardless of all of that, I will deal with me and I will come out and I will be me and address it?
I mean, I think, as I said, for me, it was watching other people do it. Watching other people, I mean, just come out with this bravery and resilience and just not care what anyone thinks and just be genuinely, you know, who you are. And for me, that's what made me come out, as just saying, hey, you know what? I have a mental illness. Just like when people have cancer, they're going to say, hey, I have lung cancer, I have diabetes, or whatever it is. It's mental illness, physical illness. They're both illnesses, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. And I think, you know, I initially did in high school get, you know, some type of, oh, okay, you know, she wants attention, or she's so sensitive, or she's always crying and stuff like that. And I didn't know what to do or how to explain it. Obviously, if I could go back now, I could explain it properly. But I think that at the end of the day, it's just there's nothing to be ashamed of, and you're not crazy. Millions of people deal with it, cope with it. Millions of people also die from it. So, like I said, it's like any other illness, and we just have to learn to live with it. And I think highlighting on, well, I call him Uncle Yasser, but highlighting on his point, I'm also a teacher. And for me, teaching for me, I think a lot like him in a very abstract way. In my mind, if someone were to go in there, I don't know what would happen to them. They'd probably get very lost because there's a lot of things happening in there. But when I teach, I want all my students to feel included. I want it to be inclusive. I want it to be fun. I don't want any pressure on, okay, you know what, we have this test today, and if you don't get a 90 on it, well, you're not smart, or you're not good enough. No, man. We need to snap out of that. That is ridiculous. And I condemn that. I cannot stand it. And when I was in school, that was what was happening. And I often felt very, I'm trying to think of a better word, but I felt very dumb, I guess I should say, as I was often getting like 30s, 40s. I mean, like when I got a 50, I was like, yes, 50. Ooh, thank God. Or if I got a 69, I was like, praise God, this is it. My parents would put that on the fridge. They're like, that's a pinnacle. But my point is that I don't think that students should be, you know, I understand, yes, we need to have assessments to see where the kids are at, but there's this pressure, and that's the pressure, that's what builds up this anxiety, and then this anxiety becomes something that can become lethal. And that is one of my biggest things that I hope can change in the education system, that we don't put so much pressure on our kids to, you know, have to, yes, we want them to succeed, but, you know, and you don't have to go to Harvard. I mean, you could go somewhere else, or you can do what you want, travel the world, then go to college, you know, be free and be you. To me, that's what's important.
We all need to learn to celebrate ourselves. What we're going to do, we're going to take a break and be back.
Me and my Marie shops in Lake.
Me and my Marie Sharp in Indiana.
I'm in Rhonda Beach, California with my Marie Sharp.
Me and my Marie shops in Kabul, Afghanistan.
Me and my Marie shop that are Hertfordshire, England.
Me and my Marie Sharps in Taipei, Taiwan.
Marie Sharp, world-class products produced in Belize.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation, great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
Because Galen University opens doors to the outside world their course offering in tourism.
It gives me more opportunity to become who I want to be.
If you want to connect with your inner champion to make the world a better place, then Galen is right for you.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because of its perfect portion sizes, and I can travel with it.
Because it's nice and soft and creamy, and it goes smooth on your bread.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because I eat it with my beans. I eat it with my fried jack. And you know why? Because it's nice.
Most of all, when you're on the plane, you know they only give you some crackers and you could just take one out and enjoy it with Happy Cow cheese.
I'm Miss Baker and I choose Happy Cow cheese because it goes well with all the stuff I bake.
Happy Cow cheese. Look for it in a store near you. Distributed in Belize exclusively by Emilio Ahmad and Sons Limited. Welcome back to Morning Matters. Sahar and Yasser in with us this morning having a discussion on mental health, how we cope, and how we come out, how we admit, and how we deal with ourselves. Guys, again, welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now I think that this is a time when I've never heard the word lockdown used so much in my entire existence. When I hear lockdown, in the past I associated it with prison and I associated it with the bad prisoners because they go to lockdown. While the rest of them are just in regular prison, the bad ones go to lockdown. Now we're all in lockdown. And this is doing something to the best of us. The ones that don't have mental health issues may develop it during this time, and the ones that have to find a way to cope. I think the ones that have, though, and recognize it, may have an easier way than the ones that did not recognize it, because you already know that if you're on medication, you need to get your medication. But if you're just starting out, how do you cope?
Well, I think for me, yes, I know I have a mental illness, and this has been an extremely difficult time, and especially hearing now that it's been pushed to 60 days, I believe. Am I correct?
Yeah.
When I heard that, I had like an instant panic attack. I was like, oh my God, this is torture. And for me, I've not been perfect. I live with my parents, to their horror. And so I get into this phase of just being a spoiled brat, or I just get upset for everything. Like I'm upset that we don't have a pool, or I don't know, that we don't have something that I want, or we don't have this ice cream in the house, and I just start nitpicking and just getting into these anger rages. So I am not perfect. I just want to make that very clear. But the things that I used to cope, I've started working out, which has helped me a lot. I don't know, when I finish, I feel great, releases endorphins. I practice breathing, like just in and out every morning. I read a lot. I watch a lot of Netflix. And I'm also currently preparing for a new school year, to be a teacher again. So I'm getting ready to do that. And also just having the support of family and friends, even though I can't go to their houses or touch them, or, I can see them via Zoom or house party or whatever it is. But in this time, I think that, people who don't have mental illness, everyone is anxious, everyone is on edge. And this time can lead people to start taking medications that are addictive, or, doing things that aren't healthy, drinking too much, or whatever it is. And it's understandable, because I feel like I'm in prison. And so I can imagine everyone else must be feeling the same thing. And it's hard I wanted to say, stay positive, it's going to get better, but I don't even believe that. So I won't, it's not something I believe. I know that it's not going to last forever, but I think a lot of us are grieving too. I'm grieving because I'm not going to be able to travel over the summer. And that's something I look forward to every summer. I'm not able to go to work. I'm not able to, just see my friends, go out, have a drink, go to a restaurant. So it's a time of grieving, and I think, let yourself grieve, and, self-care. Don't spend too much time watching the news because, that stuff is toxic. I had to stop.
You can't say that. You might not have a place to sleep later. Okay? You don't want to sleep.
No, I'm mainly talking about CNN, which I'm addicted to. But but
The local,
but
global.
Yes.
yeah. I have to watch Channel 7. It's a part of, if I live here, I must watch it. So it's part of it's a part of the contract of being here. But self-care tips, and that's why I really want to encourage people to visit our Instagram page and our Facebook page, where you can find self-care tips, things to do, activities to keep you going. And at the end of the day, it's okay to, yesterday we posted something, if I could remember what it said, that would be wonderful. I think it was, it's okay to be sensitive. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel pain. It's okay to feel, feel it, heal it. No, is it feel it, deal it? No, feel it, heal it, deal it. I don't even remember my own motto, which is bad. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is it's okay to feel what we're feeling and to go through what we're going through. And thankfully, the internet has a lot of resources that you can use. They're free therapy sessions and all types of stuff. So I feel like I've been talking for about 4 hours, so I'm going to turn it back to you.
I am so enjoying this interview because I think it gives people a full perspective of what's happening in other people's minds. So if any of these things are happening in your mind, know that you are not alone and you are not crazy. It is somewhat normal. Even me, when I hear 2 more months, even though it's not, we don't know what's going to happen Friday. I'm looking forward to Friday like most of you. I've never looked forward to a 1st of May like I'm looking forward to this 1st of May, okay? So I want to see what's going to happen next, but I've learned to just take it one day at a time. I wake up, I'll do today what I can. I will enjoy today to the best of my ability, and then I'll worry about tomorrow. Yes, sir, this is a time when many things have changed for you as well. You're accustomed to going to a classroom. There's no classroom for you to go to now. How are you coping, and how are your students interacting with you during this time?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that, because I have a couple stories I'd like to share about what's happening in real time. SJC decided to go into this format called Google Classroom, but it's the classroom is very cold, literally, in the sense that you don't get to interact much. So you just put something, they react and blah, blah, blah. And we both know, the students and the teacher know, that this is not real. In terms of, this is not what we signed up for, but it is real in the sense of our reality dictates it. And I have to say that I have been overwhelmed by the response of the students, because I have a class physically in the old world of 35, and then sometimes in my Google Classroom, I guess they give the code to their friends. I end up having 60 odd students in my classroom. That's the advantage of the digital world. And then people who are not even in my class are submitting homework, which I find to be one of the most beautiful things. And I even give them a grade and everything, and it works out fine. That is what's magical about it, because I'm giving them a grade, they're getting it, and that's what means something to them. That not going in no grade book, that it's just that's what it is. And now then we also set up at our school a thing called SJC Spirit Friday, where all the items that they develop, whether it's a poem or a song in music class or an artwork, we post it on a school Facebook so that we celebrate their work every week. Wouldn't that be amazing that we did that in real time? We never did that in real time. Post their work and have exhibitions every week and celebrate what they're doing in school. It's all about keep your head down and just don't get shut. The point is that this time is teaching us how to be kind to each other and how to be empathetic in a digital realm. And let us hope that when we go back to the physical realm, we have the courage, because it really takes courage. What Sahar talks about a lot, I always think, man, that is a serious type of courage it takes for a person to come forward and give their story, having struggled with themselves and continue to struggle. That's the thing with mental health. People say, oh, I heard the story, it's a hard story, but that is a story that is continuing to be lived. It's a lived experience. And the intersection between gratitude and grief is very important for us to understand. That recently, and I'll put this image up, we published this book called Maximo, the last alcalde of San Jose Yalbac. Let me just give you a quick history lesson of what happened. In the 1930s, a 21-year-old Maximo Perez was an alcalde of a small Maya village in the middle of the bush, way by Galanjog, Orange Walk, near the border, right? And BEC was a big British company pushing in, cutting down logs to send to England, as you know. And they reach their village and they tell the Maya people, well, better move because we need to chop down all the trees in your village. Think about this climate change movement 100 years ago. And the alcalde steps up, Maximo, and said, no, you will not. Eventually, the British got their way and they exiled all the villagers. So we had literally a forced migration within the people of the land were forcibly moved off their entire village, and they were put for 3 months in a kind of concentration camp in Orange Walk town and fenced off and put tents and so on, barely fed. The entire village, this alcalde at the early 20s had to take leadership in a moment of grief, in a moment of hostility, in a moment of disruption. So if we think that this is the only moment of disruption we will ever have, we need to understand history. And yes, the village scenario is small, but think about it. Their whole world was completely upended. Eventually, they negotiated and the British gave them some land that we now call today in 2020, Nuevo San Jose Palmar, which is right outside of Orange Walk town. But listen to the hope and the gratitude. The granddaughter of Maximo is still alive, Carmen Carrillo. She's a poet. She's the one that gave us this story. Her father, Misael, the son of Maximo, is still alive. So living inside of us is history, right? And one of the things that comes up strong in this book is the collective depression and grief and anxiety that the people suffered from. Maximo died with that on his hands, that he had to leave, he had to be exiled from his own country, within his own country. And still to this day, Carmen speaks of that depression and that grief as part of their identity. But that did not stop them from becoming one of the most industrious people, of having farms and reimagining their selves, which is the gratitude part. So there is a spectrum between grief and gratitude. And sometimes we think that they're separate, but it's not really separate. It is the lived human experience that we are able to learn how to be grateful for what we have, but we also have to be realistic and say we go through bouts and reality hits us with grief and all the things that we are going through. So it's not like, oh, let's just deny the grief and let's deny the gratitude. To me, it is how do we merge and blend the two and try to have a kind of balance. It's not easy. And finally, if I have a couple more seconds to go, recently at the junior college level, we developed a magazine, an e-magazine called Claire. All right. So we were developing this magazine in class, in a digital publishing class, all is well, and then boom, shoot, they turn off the lights, we go home, school done, go online. And then my 12 students, we migrated to a WhatsApp chat group, and we designed, they as young people, designed a magazine, 55 page. You can Google right now, Claire Belizean students, and download a free electronic magazine that they designed with their artwork about what they're thinking about now, how they're going through the turmoil of this moment. And many of them, I'm not going to call their names, but many of them during the class shared their anxieties and their mental health issues and so. So all of that comes out in their art, and it's part of this beautiful magazine. Okay, so the last point. To me, the art is not the individual works that they put into that magazine. The art is the creative ecosystem that they developed and learned to develop on this WhatsApp thing. It's just a simple green circle with a phone in it. How they use that technology in order to meet their human needs. And I have to say this, and I've said this on other shows. To me, yes, their art is beautiful and I enjoy watching it and I admire them for that. But what I told them in a letter that I wrote to them, a long letter, what I admire most is how sensitive they were to each other, how caring they were to each other. They never said, oh, that's a pile of crap when I put that in a magazine, or this or that. They negotiated among themselves and they built up a collective idea together. And I tell them, try to recognize that you're all individually gifted, but what is the biggest gift? And when you open it and say, wow, the wow is that you are all inside that gift. That to me is the perfect moment of dealing with the turmoil and using art and creativity as a kind of fireworks, let's call it like that. So, wow, Rhonda, you really give us a lot of time to talk. I really appreciate it.
You know, that is what talk show is supposed to be for people to talk. And this is not just any abstract talk. This is talk that I am sure will benefit many on every level if you were to participate in listening to these kind of conversations. It definitely gives you a different view. What we're going to do, we're going to take a break. But in the third segment, I want us to talk about the future of education from your perspective. We're going to take a break and be back.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation, great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
Because Galen University opens doors to the outside world. Their course offering in tourism.
It gives you more opportunity to become who I want to be.
If you want to connect with your inner champion to make the world a better place, then Galen is right for you.
Think water. Think crystal water. For energy and health, you need to drink water throughout the day. Crystal water is the most consistent and best tasting water in Belize, trusted to refresh you and your family. Think water. Think crystal water. With 11 stages of purification to offer you the peace of mind you deserve, crystal water is the taste you can trust.
Welcome back to the third and final segment of Morning Matters. Guys, welcome back.
Thank you.
In this segment, I want to talk a little bit about education, because both of you are teachers, both of you are preparing for a new life almost. You know, the way that you taught a few months ago is not going to be the way that you will be teaching, at least for the next few months. I will start with you, Yasser, because you are the more experienced teacher.
Thank God.
And I would like to know, do you see this as the future of education?
If I see what, sorry?
Yes, the way you teach now, as the future.
Well, it's hard to imagine exactly what it will be. But I always say, and in all the projects that I've done for so many years, in Belize, we have a beautiful word. It's called bafo. It means you're trying, you're making an attempt. And I think one of the greatest and most negative legacies of colonialism is that it imposed on our population, on our society, on our culture, this idea that someone is coming on a horse, usually it's a big white horse, to bring the solutions, to bring the answers, to bring the things that you need. And if there's one thing I have learned in my years of teaching, is that if you do not do it, then you will just be waiting and you will suffer from an overdose of expectations. And that is dangerous. So I have tried not to have any expectations. What I have tried to do is, and this is very difficult, I appreciate a lot of teachers always say, well, you know, you could do it, I can't do it. But I have tried to go blindly into that arena of curiosity. If you believe in curiosity, then you have to believe in the chance operation that something will happen. If you believe in things that you cannot see, then you will have to trust that what is revealed is what was supposed to be. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I really believe in that. Like so many projects we've done at Image Factory as an example. We've had a call for photography, blah, blah, blah. And then I have no idea what it will be. But what it ends up being is what it is. And that is beautiful and that is enough. That's what you have to accept. Yes, you could say, well, that photo could have made, come invite that person. Yes, that is human nature. But if you are a prisoner of what you think the way the world should be, then you will be constantly second guessing. So all I have to say is this, that a new moment in education has to arrive where we feel as if there is a liberation going on inside the classroom, that we are having young people think about the world they're in and that the world is under threat on many levels, that the internet, when they turned it on, was not the start of the world, that the world had Maximo in it 100 years ago, and 500 years ago, they had an invasion of the Americas, and that 20,000 years ago, people figured out how to make agriculture, and you know, and so on and so forth. And so the same idea of history is in the present. There's only 3 ideas humanity has come up with in terms of figuring out time: past, present, and future. And we are so obsessed with it that we put it in all our languages. You know, we put it as a verb in past, in present, and future. But in reality, it is just one existence. So you have to appreciate and understand what we call the past in order to make better what is present, so that in the future it will be an imagined better thing, right?
When you have an interaction with a teacher face to face, there's a different level of appreciation for the people. So the teacher can appreciate Sahar and Sahar can appreciate the teacher. For people that are struggling like yourself, students that are struggling like yourself, now they may not get that same level of understanding or warmth or empathy from their teacher, because now it's all digital. I see Sahar, she's just another number. I may not even see her name, her face. I might just see her name. And I judge her based on her interaction on the screen. How do you receive that kind of reality?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. Well, for me, I work at Hummingbird Elementary, and we are doing online classes. But I think, and I mean, I'm not trying to be boastful or anything like that. But I think the beauty of Hummingbird is that there's this sort, I guess, empathy. You know, we want our students to feel that we are here, we are in this together. So the teachers will, yes, they'll put up the assignments and fun activities to do, and then they'll send videos saying, hey kids, how are you? I miss you. I can't wait to see you again. And I think that type of stuff is what, and these are children, I mean, younger kids, primary school kids, but that really motivates the kids. And we've heard a lot from parents that, they're so happy to see their teacher, like, oh my goodness, this is the best thing ever. Like, my teacher sent me a message. She's doing good. She misses me. So, and she's putting up all these fun activities and she cares about me, he or she cares about me. So I think that's the beauty of what we're doing right now in this time.
Yes, sir, I go back to you. you, again, I will use the word enlightened. You are very enlightened. You are aware, you're in touch with yourself. And I would, well, it would appear, no? I mean, but there are a lot of other teachers that are not so enlightened. How, I mean, and you work along with these teachers. So how, and maybe this would be an opportunity for you to share one way that they can better accommodate their students during the time that they're not able to physically meet and learn with them.
Well, I listened carefully to Sahara and I agree with her assessment of the idea that if a child on, like in our case, Google, just says, hey, sir, what's going on? What will you eat today? Like, they always want to know what's happening with food. And that's a big thing for them, right? So then I will tell them, yeah, I have a sandwich. And then they say, what are your favorite sandwich? And I say to myself, man, okay, I have to deal with this. So then I start, so, okay, my favorite sandwich. But you have to have this constant reminder that talking about that sandwich at that moment is more important than whether or not they understand the E-groups of the astronomy of the ancient Maya, whatever. That will come. The Jesuits have a terminology for what is happening here, right? It's called asynchronous learning. Asynchronous is like sequence, right? Synchronicity. Asynchronous is that, okay, if we do this now, or do this now, or do this all over the place, which to me is how my brain learns. Like, I could be having lunch and then boom, a lot of things just start coming in my mind. Like, I don't have a linear thought process. And I love to read. So I think reading, I was talking earlier about the roots of philosophical ideas of education. Reading, whether you read a screen or whether you read a little WhatsApp text or a piece of paper, whatever it is, reading allows the mind to process thoughts. Now, we have thoughts, but it's not just thoughts going out. Yes, it seems like, oh, I just want my thoughts go out. You also have to have thoughts coming in. And then there's this negotiation of thoughts. So when you read literature, well, I'm just giving you my view. When I read the poetry of Neruda or into Sake Shange, I have this, like I am teleported into their world, right? Or Maya Angelou or whoever. And it's the same thing. If I'm listening to music, it's the same negotiation. So to me, now this will sound like some radical stuff, but I'll just put it here because Rhonda is inspiring me today to talk how I want.
What more?
Music, videos, paper, words on paper, all that is reading. Listening to someone is reading. Reading is just allowing the mind to take in and consume more thoughts so that you can process. People always say, well, so how you come up with anything? I didn't come up with it. I had to read it. I had to listen to somebody. I had to listen to a song, listen to a bird outside, watch something. Yeah, it sounds crazy, but that is what happens. And then all those things come together, and that's how my thoughts are formed. But you have to pay attention to how your thoughts are formed as well. And so when teachers, my own colleagues, you asked about that, ask me, so why your students like you so much and blah, blah. I'm not trying to boast here, but a lot of them like me. They don't like my Yasser intellectual capacity. They like that I like them. I don't know if that makes sense. That I am listening to them and they like that I am involved in what they are doing. Who cares about what I'm doing? I'm being paid to do what I'm doing. I have to come in there with a lesson. So if they don't like you inside the physical classroom, they will not like you in the Google classroom. Think about that. So don't expect no miracles for no Google because that's our fancy technology. If they never like you over yonder, they don't like you in your box. So a lot of people don't agree with this. Then, well, I'm not going there to make them be my friend. That is what you're going there to be. You want them to be your friend. Because what's wrong with friendship now? What is wrong with somebody feeling, man, that teacher really is concerned about what I'm thinking? You know what the amazing thing I'll end here? There's a kid in one of my classrooms. He never does homework in the physical world. But guess who is the first one to hand in his assignment on Google Classroom? The same child. So I ask her, hey, what are you going, how all of a sudden know you do my homework? He said, sir, because I love the homework on my phone, and when I in a class, and so I need to write nothing down on the paper because I don't got access to my phone. So he not write down no homework because he not got his phone. That is real. And that's so beautiful. I said, wow, big respect, man.
You know, do you think, and now this question is for both of you or whoever decides to answer, do you think that in the future that the student will pretty much teach themselves and the teachers will only be there to point them in the direction that they deem necessary?
I think they are already deciding. Let's look at it this way. Sorry, Sahara, I jumped.
No, I wanted you to answer it, so it's
Remember,
fine.
age before beauty. The idea is this. Look at time again. A lot of young people would spend 6-7 hours on a video game, right? And they wouldn't spend 6 minutes on your stupid homework. There's a reason for that. They have already been marked in terms of the cultural expectation on them. So the only power or the only negotiation we have with them is this connection, this human connection to them, which they value because they know this is much deeper that Mr. Musa listen to me come a video game, not listen to me. That was a one directional thing. So our value is no longer the avalanche of data and information. Come on. If we were to add up all the data on pieces of paper, and I've done research on this, it would go from here to the moon if we printed it out. If we printed what the internet publishes per day, it will print up to the moon. 150 years ago, if we did that, it will go from here to Belmopan in terms of printed books. Think about that idea. So the world is not about the information and the data. The world is conceptual now. The world is about generating collaborative experiences now. And so the classroom environment is not about this one-way railroad train coming down with all this coal and I just dump it on it. It is now a process of multiple things going on. So I really think that we need to ease off on the oppression of the curriculum, the hidden curriculum of all this data, and build up what are called soft skills, their confidence, their self-esteem, their sense of themselves, their cultural identity, their Belizeanness, their connection to the glocality, what I call we are living in a global world. It's global because we are seeing it on the screen, but it's local because we have to go over there and buy chips at the shop, blah, blah, blah. So the glocality is what they need to be taught now, of navigating between respecting what your grandmother is saying as well as what Anderson Cooper is saying. That is the same balance. It's crazy, but it's real.
Guys, yes, sir. I say thank you, Sahar. I say thank you. I definitely look forward to another conversation sometime, perhaps in the near future. Guys, until next time, I encourage you to take care of yourselves and each other. Have a lovely day.